This is Doug Upstone for SportsWatch.com, and I am here with Tony DeMarco, baseball expert, who is now in his 26th year, or actually 27th year, following baseball. He has literally done and seen it all, and we're here in Scottsdale and just watched the Arizona Diamondbacks defeat the Cincinnati Reds, and so we're going to talk a little bit about these teams, and Tony's going to give us some other expert stuff here. The Cincinnati Reds this season, last year they were so close to really getting to the World Series, up on San Francisco 3-1 the playoffs before not getting the job done. They largely returned most of their team this year. What do you think of their prospects are, Tony?
Well, I would say they're definitely going to be a 90-win team, possibly well into the 90s. It is, like you say, it's basically the same cast without Scott Rowland III. But Todd Frazier, strong Rookie of the Year candidate last year, will move in there. The questions, the biggest question obviously is the role of Chapman. It's not a question, he's going to be great no matter where you put him. How good of a starter can he be in his first year? Moving from the bullpen, how many innings can he pitch? Maybe they're going to have to limit him. If he does start and they keep him in his role, he's probably only going to throw 160, 170 innings as opposed to 200 that number one starter throws. So that could affect him. The corollary to that is, can Broxton really step up and save 35 games, stay healthy over the course of the whole season?
How dependent do you think Sean Marshall could be? Obviously closed for a while last year and kind of lost it. But I mean, more of a temporary solution?
He could be a co-closer, certain left-hand situations. You might want to have him in there instead of Broxton. We'll see. That's just going to have to play itself out.
Okay.
But the first question we'll see is if I think Chapman can do it. Personally, if I'm the Reds, I'm Walt Jockey. I give this a try because there are only about maybe a dozen legit 220 inning number one starter types out there in the big leagues today. Verlander, Kershaw, David Price, Strasburg. There aren't that many more in that group there. So you have to give Chapman a try. He's been a starter his whole life. He has three pitches. He has a split as his third pitch. He just doesn't have to throw it. When you throw 102 and your slider is 90 and it breaks 3 feet, you don't need a third pitch. But now he's going to need a third pitch. And he says he has it. So you have to give him a try, and we'll see how it works out.
Sure. Okay.
The worst thing that happens is they move him back to and he's a dominant closer.
All right, so the lines makers are saying Cincinnati is listed at 91 victories, and you think them going over is
maybe slightly over.
Choice?
Yeah.
Okay.
It would take some injuries for them to go under.
Okay.
They're trying Shin-Soo in center. He hasn't played center since 2008, I think, or 7. It's been several years. There is some question about that, but I think Jay Bruce could slide over and play center if they have to.
Okay.
It's also a weak division. They did lose the Astros from the division, but they still have the Pirates and the Cubs. And the Brewers are kind of mediocre in my mind. So I would think 90 wins pretty safe.
Okay. Now, Arizona this year, basically they're the third choice in the NL West. San Francisco and the Dodgers seem to be quite a bit ahead of them, from that standpoint. But, obviously a couple years ago things broke their way, a lot of one-run wins. What we keep hearing about with Arizona is they typically, they have a really good nucleus of players. They have arguably as deep a club in terms of average to above average players.
1 to 25.
Right, but there's no stars on this team. So what do you think?
That's
about
what they did. That's kind of Gibby's. That's Gibson's mold of things. Him and Upton. I don't want to say they clashed, but there wasn't like a click there between the two. Let's just say they decided to move on. Personally, I would have kept Upton. I like him. I think he's going to be an outstanding player. They have a good rotation though. And they have a deep bullpen. So I like the pitching. Their lineup will score runs here at Chase Field. Obviously, it's a hitter's park. So I would, the 81 kind of seems about right. To be honest with you.
Okay.
That's where they finished last year. I'm not sure they're much better or worse than that.
Okay. All right, now we'll ask you. Now you've been making the rounds here at spring training, even though it's still relatively early. Things are starting to develop a little bit. What are some of the teams that you could see that might be a surprise, and what are a couple of teams you think might disappoint?
Yeah, as far as my general spring training philosophy is, first couple weeks, it's really misleading. And the Royals, I believe, are 9-0, and I like the Royals as a surprise team, but no one's going to be 9-0. I like looking, I like paying a little bit more attention after St. Patty's Day, that last 10 days to 2 weeks. Then you can kind of get a feel for who's hot, who feels good about themselves going into the season. All that said, I kind of like the Mariners, the Padres, and the Royals as teams that I think could exceed win totals.
Okay, all right. How about those that might fall below?
What's the Dodgers number?
Dodgers 91.5.
That's actually lower than I thought. That's probably about where they're going to be. I thought maybe they might have been 94, 95.
Okay, all right.
I don't think that's happening. They have a lot of questions yet. And I would say the Angels, what's that? Theirs is probably 90.
92, I think it is.
Okay. That's close too.
They get Houston. That helps.
To me, I'm thinking they might be. They have some issues too. If their total was like 94, I would have definitely gone under that.
Okay, all right. So, well, this is Tony DeMarco, baseball expert. This is Doug Upstone for SportsWatch.com.